I'm Lynn Parati with the Island Eye News, and we're going to have a series of conversations with the candidates that are running for the Isle of Palm City Council in the election on November 7th. First person I'm sitting down here is with Scott Pierce.
Hey, Lynn, how are you doing?
Hey, Scott. First of all, how did you get here and who'd you come with?
Talking about the Isle of Palm.
I'm talking about the Isle of
Yeah.
Palms.
Okay, so my wife and I, Jenny, we've been married for 38 years, and both of us have been sort of on the corporate moving van during the course of my career. And our last stop before coming to the Isle of Palms was Park City, Utah.
Not a bad place.
Not a bad place to be. Good skiing and great summer times, and going through a lot of the same things that the Isle of Palms is going through, probably about 10 or 15 years ahead of time, with explosive growth, place being discovered. We loved it. We moved around the country for, my career with Verizon was almost 30 years. But we always pretty much had a place in Park City, even though we got transferred around. So anyway, I retired from Verizon about, I think it was 2011. And we decided that we wanted to be closer to family. So our family is located in Asheville, the Charlotte area, and Atlanta. So we came here. And
Right in between.
Yeah, it was close enough. It was close enough yet far enough away.
Had you been here before?
Not to the Charleston area.
Right.
We had been, I grew up in New England. Jenny's from the Atlanta area, so we're familiar with the area. And we travel around the country quite a bit, so we've been all over. But so we got on a plane and we came over to Jacksonville, and we drove south to St. Augustine and a little further. And then we went as far north as Myrtle Beach. We came back down. Jenny got on the Sullivan's Island, Isle of Palms area, and said, "This is it."
Yeah.
And so, we evaluated Sullivan's Island, and then when we looked at the Isle of Palms was definitely more vibrant. Had a nice mix of, we were talking about with the short-term rental. We had a nice vacation crew.
Right.
Nice little vibrant downtown.
Definitely.
And a really strong permanent resident base. So the other thing too is we're both runners, and it's got a 7-mile stretch of beach there, which is very, very runnable, and it's dog pet friendly. We had a dog at the time.
Right.
And we said, this is it. So we were going back and forth from Park City. We long-term rented actually with Sandy Stone and Island Eye Realty for about 5 years.
Island Realty.
Island Realty. Oh, not Island Eye, you're right. Sorry about that. We explored the area, and I knew about the second season we came down here. We were coming down 3-4 months at a time.
Right.
That when Jenny got us hooked up with a realtor, then we were moving here.
And are you in the house that you guys originally came to the island on?
We bought a house, and then we bought a lot, and then we built a house on it.
Well, that was an empty lot when you bought it.
It wasn't empty, but it was
Okay.
an old house that couldn't be restored.
Gotcha.
So we actually, we made an attempt to renovate, and it really couldn't be done. So we ended up pretty much replacing that house.
Gotcha. And so it's just you and Jenny here on the island now, right?
It is.
Your son and a daughter.
We have 2 kids, grown kids, and they're one is Connor. He's out in Denver. He works for Charles Schwab in finance. He's in the Treasury Department.
And he's skiing.
And he's skiing and loving.
I think they got snow last night.
They did, and he's already talking about. I got a trip planned out to Colorado. We're going to head up to the
Good.
Canadian Rockies, and we're doing it up this year. And then our daughter, she's a psychiatric nurse, acute care psychiatric nurse. She just finished up a travel nursing job. She's here with us now.
Oh, really?
She's actually looking at maybe transitioning over into postpartum nursing, and she's looking at a position locally here. So she may end up being local and joining us.
Staying with you for a while.
She's going to stay with us for a little while, but she's looking for some housing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your experience with Verizon.
Yeah.
What else have you done? I know you do some other things besides Verizon because you're still working.
I work part-time. I'm actually working a little bit with Verizon, and I think a lot of people have this perception that I'm strongly rooted in finance, which I am, but I have a lot of operations and general management experience, and the work I'm doing for Verizon now is for enterprise systems. So I work with a company, and we provide enterprise technology systems for Verizon, tracking a lot of their financial and a lot of their sales activity. So it's not full-time. I'm on a consulting basis, but it's been a great company, and still got a lot of good people there, and the telecom business is a tough business right now.
Yeah, it is. It is. And a lot of people don't realize that you have to put a lot of time into your other job on City Council because you're currently a member of City Council.
Yes.
And you ran the first time on a short term, right? This will be your first full term if you were reelected.
Yeah, this was when Philip ran, he was in 2 years into his term. and so he was successful being elected as the mayor. That left a 2-year seat. I ran against Gary Nestler, was the other candidate. I won that election, and so now we've got another.
This is for the 4-year.
Yeah,
When you ran in the 2 years ago, did you anticipate that you would be running again 2 years later?
You know, you never say never,
Right.
and I thought we would be able to get quite a bit of things done during that 2-year stretch. Hasn't quite panned out that way.
Right.
And you know, the thing that I've enjoyed about serving on council is the people that I've met in the community have been just outstanding, incredibly supportive. You hear all sides, and you know, I've really enjoyed this. It does take time. It takes a lot of time to be prepared. And
Well, whether they agree with you or not, it's a very engaged community.
oh, it's a very engaged.
And it shows up everywhere.
It does.
You know, our in elections, the people on the Isle of Palms and Sullivan's Island vote 2-1 for the rest of the county, which is
incredible.
Yeah, it really
It's
is.
an incredible turnout.
Yeah, every time. You mentioned that you're running. How far do you run every day?
I probably run 5-6 days a week, and it's anywhere between 3 to 6 miles. And then I'll head over to the gym on the off days.
Are you competing anymore?
Let's just say I'm not breaking any overland speed records these days. And I joke every
Well,
time.
you can always run in your
Well,
age group,
yeah,
our
well,
group.
there are 2 races that I always try to run, and it's the beach run
And the bridge run?
connect and the
Yeah.
connector run. And I like to joke that I always win my age group of 8-1-58. And but no, I did pretty well this year. Actually, I had a little setback a couple of years ago.
Right.
I'm on the mend, and I really I did pretty well in my age group this year. Of course, now I have to admit I jumped up an age group at 65, so I'm at the younger age in my age group. But I'll take it.
What's your
It's a great day too, and a great event, by the way.
besides going running on the island? What's probably your favorite thing to do on the island?
Oh, I think just walking around and walking on the beach. If I'm not running on the beach, I'm walking on the beach and just.
You have
walking.
to keep this constant year-round tan.
Well, I do that. I do that so
that.
that I can do all the other things that I like to do, the eating and all the other things that go along with it. But no, I think just the engagement. The nice thing about this community is everybody's out all the time, walking around, walking their pets, or riding their bikes, or going into the downtown area.
No one's afraid to let you know their opinion.
Nobody's afraid to let them, and that's great. But I've never experienced anybody being anything but cordial, even when we don't agree on things.
I find that to be true too.
And I like to say, and I think I said this at a forum, we can all have differences of opinion. You have to kind of choose to be divisive. So, I try to make sure that I want to hear everything as much as I can from all sides, and that's the only way that we can make, I think, good decisions.
Well, obviously, I'm talking to everybody, not just randomly, because we do have the election coming up, and the main question on the election, on the agenda is the short-term rentals.
Yes.
And I think if you look past a lot of the hysteria on both sides, the two sides are much closer together than people
I
realize.
hope so.
And I don't normally shout out somebody else, but I thought the Post and Courier did a good job on their articles and illuminating why things aren't going to be disastrous for either side. Because hopefully, whoever's on council will listen to what's happened over the last few months and come to some sort of consensus that people can agree on. Which hopefully, in the future, we're able to do that without having to go to petitions and
legislation by petition is not the way to go, in my opinion.
Right.
We've got to do a lot better job of engaging and listening to the community and having these conversations. And I've kind of one of the things I've noticed on being on council, it seems to me like we work through agendas. We don't take the time to work through an issue. We want to get through that agenda, make that motion to adjourn, and second it and be on
Sometimes
our way.
after 3 hours, people don't realize you've already done a couple of committee meetings that might have gone 3 hours. You might have done the pre-council meeting can go 3 to 4 hours. And,
But that's what it takes.
It does take
especially- and the Isle of Palms is a small geographic location. It's got about 4.5 square miles, but I think people need to realize that we're generating probably $250–300 million worth of annual revenues off of this island. There's big business on this island.
Yes, it is.
And it's not, it's a small community, but it's also has characteristics of being very large in some ways for its geography. The other thing is, we've got this explosive growth going on around us in the Charleston County, and it's not going to stop.
No.
I like to say, we've got 10 million annual crossings across Breach Inlet and the
Crazy.
connector, and more and more and more development. And we did put some ordinances in place to preserve what we have left for open space with those 5 wild wings ordinances. But if all that development takes place, we're going to have another 2 or 3 million crossings. I'm just not sure that we as a community, if we're wanting to maintain a residential feel, we can't handle that kind of push and that kind of capacity. And at some point, the inn is full. So I think we're trying to address these things, but I think we've got a lot more work to do. And short-term rentals, to me, it's one issue. And we talk about election and selecting candidates. I'm hoping that people look at, they're going to be hiring somebody for 4 years. The short-term rental issue is going to come and go.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I hope I bring to the table is the ability to listen, take the time, roll up the sleeves, and get through issues to find solutions. And we've got to listen to the residents, and we've got to listen to all sides. We've got to do it collaboratively and cordially with low temperature.
And that's important because in 18 years of doing this, I've seen coalitions come and go. I've seen people work with people on one issue and work with the other group on another issue.
Right.
And that's important,
right,
that you be able to cross those. Is there anything that, besides the short-term rental, that's important right now that people maybe aren't paying attention to?
Sure. I kind of go back to what I just said about the business on the island. We have a very vibrant business community, and the growth around the area is putting the pressure. So, the short-term rental issue right now is a symptom. We've been very successful, and now it's the time to, we're really trying to address it. We kind of keep that balance there. Traffic is a symptom. Parking is a symptom. All of these issues, drainage is a symptom. These things are all symptomatic of our growth, losing permeable ground. We've got more demands on us. The water's rising a bit, and so all of these issues are going to have to be dealt with at some point in time. And I think if we can get a good team in place to have these conversations, and for me too, it's about getting in front of things instead of having to wait and react. So I think there are a lot of things coming. The biggest one for me though that is on the horizon is the wild winds ordinances. Mm-hmm. Those are being litigated right now, and I think that we need to ensure that we have a representation on council that is going to stand firm. And where I go on that is that the city should always be in the driver's seat to determine whether or not we're going to authorize further development. And right now we're in that position, and we should be retaining that position. And I'm not anti-development, but if somebody wants to put a development proposal in front of council and let the residents have full airtime to evaluate the impacts to our community, I think we should be able to do that. So I would just, we're talking about short-term rentals here, but this one's going to be in our forefront, and we need to ensure that we have council members that have been supportive of those ordinances to begin with, and that they are going to be supportive of those ordinances going forward, because this litigation is going to take some time.
Also, somebody that serves a community that's dealing with this right now, there is a bill, I think, in the House that's going to suggest that the state be able to override.
HR 3253.
Right.
Yeah. I actually went, Joe Bustos, our representative at the House, did a phenomenal job this year of trying to push back on that. I mean, I think what we end up doing with the issue should be determined by us. It shouldn't necessarily be determined at the state level. So I went to.
So there may be an issue that you can get on with somebody else.
We
that's a home
absolutely,
rule guy.
yeah. Well, yes, possibly. Yeah, I went to Columbia. I testified. Jan Anderson went and testified. We were the two that went up there. There were also some resident groups here that went up and testified. And Senator Campson also did an outstanding job in the Senate to push this to another time. So it's coming back. There's no question. As a matter of fact, I think 5 members of our Chamber of Commerce, we passed a unanimous resolution on council to in support of not having that bill pass. Our Chamber of Commerce, I know that, I think it was written up in the Moultrie News, there are 5 members there that have raised $25,000 to actually hire lobbyists that are on the opposite side of that to take our home rule away. So I think we've got some reconciliation to do with our local business community to try to get on the same page language on this issue too. Where this issue lands is going to be decided by the voters. It's actually out of council's hands now.
Right.
And we do have the opportunity, of course, that referendum was written the way it was written because of the legalities of a citizen petition. They couldn't do zoning. But hopefully this will be resolved here on November 7th, and I'm hoping that we have a chance to have it passed and then go from there and listen to the residents.
Thank you, friend.
All right, you take care.
There.